Hi guys, welcome back to Owl003. Please like, subscribe, and share the content. And please buy me a coffee, buymeacoffee.com if you support my work. And if you need remote viewing done, description on how to do that is in the link. Okay, so today we're talking about the Omniverse. As I've remote viewed, you take into these considerations of all the things you've remote viewed to, it's hard not to kind of consider how some of this stuff might work. Okay, so I want to state the caveat of with remote viewing all I've remote viewed, if I took that for what it is, this is kind of how I would give you an idea how some of this stuff may work. Because you have people talking about soul traps and trying to get you to do this, that, and the other. And, I'm not trying to teach you how to think. I'm not trying to this, that, and the other. Just something to consider. Okay, so there's something called an Einstein-Rosen bridge. Wormholes, basically. So if I take what I've experienced remote viewing for what it is, so you have these. Imagine that you're using something akin to this, okay? Something that has the like in physical based reality that has the ability to get you from A to B. Okay, so you have a time space travel or a portal that could open up space and time to anywhere and any direction in this known universe, and even alternate realities within this base universe, something like this. Okay, I believe that something like this exists in the physical. Okay, and if remote viewing, from what I've seen and according to the tasking, there's these little literal stargates in antiquity. They've been acquired at some places, like again, going by remote viewing, there's literal portals and bases that go to the Mars and go to the moon. And okay, so yeah. I've also, so if we look at it like that, so there could be very likely, these literal stargates that are getting, so which would include, so some of these things we could be interacting with are literal time travelers, from a technology perspective. Now, so that's using this in our base reality framework. Now, if you turn this vertical like this, now we're dealing in realms. Okay, now we're not dealing with. Now you get into this the what we call the what is described as like the multiverse. Okay, so and this is just kind of a very generic way to do it. But so in these other realms, you have what could be there. Okay, so you have the astral realm, the dead, interdimensional beings, angelic realms, and go up and up and up. And I believe that a lot of these realms are kind of, everything has like laws. Like even with remote viewing, we seem to be able to do some things, but other times it's as if something's preventing, like, that's why we're not all rich, remote viewers. But what's some of the lower stuff on these lower realms? You could have lower level consciousness beings. You could have interdimensional deviants. You could have demonic stuff. Okay, and this also it has a physical component. Like literally, there could be like technology to travel these realms. But like again, you could have non-corporeal beings, but also consciousness itself. This is something similar to what we're doing with consciousness. We're opening up this portal. We're just doing it in our minds, and we could travel these anywhere, back and forth, time, alternate timelines, these higher realms, these lower realms. Now, let's talk about multiverse versus omniverse. Multiverse, a hypothetical collection of all universes, including the observable universe and any other universes that may exist beyond it. Omniverse is a concept that includes all possible universes, realities, and dimensions. The Omniverse is the sum of all realities, including the metaverse and multiverse. Now, I've seen in the past people remote view Santa Claus. I mean, you know, they talk about Stargate, Doctor Strange, fictional characters. Okay. Now, people would say that these are not based in reality. Well, they're not based in our reality at all. And yet, we're able to remote view them. Well, how is that happening? Is it because our subconsciousness is interpreting that information, or what? Or there's a possibility that these things exist on some base reality that we're accessing. Okay. So, for instance, we did Moana 2, which is a movie that's completely animated. I had an aesthetic impact of being on the water. Man, I feel like I'm on the water. I can't feel like I'm being on the water if water is not at the target. It doesn't even exist. I'm feeling like I'm on the water in an animated film. How could that be? Unless, you know, this exists on some reality, whether it exists when it's created via a story, or if it's getting cycled through consciousness or whatever. But what I'm saying is, just because it doesn't exist here on our base reality does not mean it doesn't necessarily exist somewhere. So, and that's how we're accessing it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, in my opinion, this is all information-based reality. At the very, at the very substance level of it, I think the best guy who has the best conceptual idea of what this is all about is Tom Campbell. Which is, I'm not saying this is what he's teaching, but I'm saying he has a great kind of way of describing things. To me, it seems to resonate with what I've experienced. Okay, so where might one of these things exist, where you're traveling different realms in base reality, where we would experience it or something like that? Well, yeah, places like Skinwalker Ranch is a good example. You got something that these life forms are coming in and out of. Lights, what people call Sasquatch, what people call, they found bone of a creature, a dire wolf that shouldn't, died off a millennia ago, and all kinds of weird, crazy shit. So what seems to be happening there is a portal there, and I don't think it's probably malfunctioning or something. So my sense would be there's probably something under the ground that's an artifact. It could be an old ship. It could be just an old artifact that's technology. But that's what's happening up there. Over the ranch is something's not probably working right, and things are coming in and out of that that portal. So again, this is just something to consider, and something else to consider, like some of these, these nastier things like interdimensional deviants and demonic things. I suspect that this base reality is probably governed by something up here, okay, to some degree. All right, that's kind of been my experience. I've ran into some of these things. And for the most part, I think that this is, like I said, we have free reign with our subconscious to travel these realms. But I think for the most part, this base reality, ours, is governed, okay? And I think it's basically shunted from some of the more nastier things. Now, and yet we have, these exorcists and these really nasty non-corporeal creatures that seem to torment people. I think what happens is these can be led in a myriad of ways. One could be technological, but another is through dark witchcraft, stuff like that. Intention is a really powerful thing, guys. For the most part, people are really missing out on that. So your intention is quite powerful. So say if you're, I talk about an egregore quite a bit. This is a little bit adjacent for what I'm saying, but say you're a person on a beach channeling an ET or remote viewing an ET that comes and supposedly is like your good friend and you're an ambassador of this, that, and the other. It is far more likely, in my opinion, that a person like this is so wrapped up in ETs, 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 ETs. I'm an ambassador. We got the best of everything and this, that, and the other. And they're coming to communicate with me and we're special and this, that, and the other. That they could literally they could literally create a personality that doesn't exist, that they've drummed into existence. So as far as this situation, we'll find out. This is why, like, some of these guys, like, oh, it's scary to me because these guys are from science and they're like, this is not science what they're doing, and they're not even. And then some of them are claiming like, oh, we're the ones that are actually talking to these non-corporeal beings. Let me tell you something. Okay, we could tell the difference. Let me tell you something. Unless you could touch, taste, unless you could feel them in the physical reality, you got to take everything else with a grain of salt. Because if you're interacting with something down here and you can't taste or touch them, they could be pretending to be something up here relatively easily, and you would know the difference. So what I have experienced is, for the most part, working in these realms, is a lot of these nastier things on these lower level want to get up here. As to where, like, these things up here, these higher consciousness things, don't tend to get involved directly. They may influence a little bit here and there, but they don't tend to get, or if they do, it's a much lighter touch. It's where these guys in this lower base reality will get a little nasty. So it's something to consider as far as a model of our reality. So at the end of the day, I think it feels to me like an information-based system. Okay. And again, why does remote viewing drop off like a stone when it goes to you turn into finances and stuff like that? I really honestly, guys, from my experience, it has very little to do with remote viewing itself, and a lot more to do with kind of the individual journey path type of thing. So there's a lot of times I perceive things that I think that a lot of people don't, or if they do, they don't talk about it. Because I've seen this in other people's sessions too, where you'll do something where you're kind of chasing some kind of game or something to kind of make money, and like literally you'll see an image like be like no in front of you, and again, this is totally subjective. It's just my experience, and but then as time has gone by, if you're really paying attention, you really get a lot more insight. So it's a slippery slope when you start chasing something. You know what I mean? So you want to really keep your life in balance if that's something you want to explore, like money and remote viewing and stuff like that. as far as gambling. Um, but that's basically why, for the most part, it's always going to be shit. Like if you just want to go into remote viewing and make a bunch of money, that's going to drop off so fast. And again, it's not necessarily to do with your ability. It's just the fact that there's rules that govern this system. And if you think you got a leverage on it, you're going to be the big rich guy that's eventually going to come back and snap and bite you in the ass. I guarantee it. So not to say you can't win and stuff, but you want to keep equal measure, in my opinion. But again, back to the main point. We have to be careful when dealing with these people, dealing with these beings, because the likelihood of these beings being like a dimensional thing or even a time traveling thing, a completely made up egregore, these are all equally likely. I'm not saying that there isn't alien, there probably is, but there's clearly this other aspect of our reality that we need to kind of consider. And again, going back to intention and stuff like this, I've seen somebody with like strong intention on topics that completely blow up projects, that completely just tank the whole project because they have such a strong opinion about something. That's why you want to get away from your biases as much as you can if you're doing stuff. If you're doing stuff in remote viewing, if you get wrapped up in your own RV and your own ideology, your own, it's you could be cycling your own bullshit. So anyway, something to consider is this, in essence, is how a lot of these entities may be getting around, rather than like necessarily a like a combustion engine type of thing. At least in some cases, they may well be able to travel other ways or whatever. But this seems to be one, not just in the physical, but in our conscious mind. It kind of works in the same fashion. It opens up like a portal, and at the end of the day, it's information going through. And even in base reality, it's the same. It's information. Just we perceive everything as the way this is in the physical. So, just to give you an idea, something to consider. So, like I said, please like, subscribe, and share the content. And we'll catch you next time on All 003.